Hi, I'm Larry Richardson. Welcome back to Cooking and Camping with the Step-by-Step Chef, the camping division. Now in this series, I have cooking videos and free recipes on stepbystepchef.com that you can use whether you are cooking and camping or you're cooking at home and you want something delicious and easy to make. So please check out my website. But the other thing that's there is these camping videos. I've done an introductory video. This is our second video. This one is about what essential equipment do you need to camp. Now my first recommendation if you are tent camping is a 3-season tent. This is assuming that you're not going to go above the tree line up into the snow, which you're going to need a 4-season tent, but most of us are 3-season campers. We drive around, we drive to a campground, and we put up our tent. And usually it's a campground that's, reasonably supervised. Now in this episode, I am at Grand Staircase Escalante in Utah, and I am primitive camping. I am out in the middle of nowhere. So I had to bring food, water, shelter, and I have to take everything, all of my waste, all of it, out of here, if I can't bury it. And we'll get to that in another episode. But anyways, the first thing you want is a 3-season tent. That's a tent that has a lot of screening underneath it, and it has a fly that will keep the rain and moisture out of your tent. The other thing is it has a ground sheet underneath it. The ground sheet is always a little bit smaller than the tent. I hope you could see that. Let me see. Let me put that down. So you have a ground sheet that helps to prevent the bottom of the tent from getting pierced by sharp rocks and sticks, and it also helps to keep moisture away from the bottom of the tent. So the ground sheet should always be a little bit smaller than the tent. Make sure that you have a ground sheet when you buy a tent. They don't all come with it. You might have to buy it separately. And it should be a little bit smaller than the profile of the bottom of the tent. So if you have a thunderstorm or heavy rain, it doesn't actually, because if it were larger than the bottom of the tent, cause water to rush in underneath your tent. So it should just be a little bit smaller. So anyways, number 1, a 3-season tent. In the next episode, episode 3, I'll show you the essentials of how to put a tent together. Now, with all of this equipment we're talking about that you need for camping, what I want you to do is try it at home first. Put your tent together. Make sure you know how to put it together and all the pieces are there before you get out into the field. There's nothing worse than showing up at a campsite and finding out something's missing from your equipment or you don't know how to use it. Because if you don't have this, you don't have a place to sleep. This is your house. That's your house on the road. So make sure to put together your tent and all this equipment. Try it out ahead of time. The next thing that I find essential in comfortable tent camping is a good sleeping pad. Buy the most sleeping pads you can for the money and try them out. Go to an REI, a Bass Pro Shop, maybe Walmart has it, a Cabela's, any kind of outfitter. Go there and try out sleeping pads and find out which one is comfortable to you. I've tried just a sleeping bag on the ground. Oh, it hurts. Then I tried piling up sweatshirts and anything I could get my hands on. I mean, practically a loaf of bread, anything to cushion, and that didn't work either. It really hurt. So look for a good sleeping pad, know how to operate it, and you'll be all set. Next up, of course, is a good sleeping bag. Now what's really neat is they make these sleeping bags out of synthetic materials now that are very comfortable. They air out nicely and they dry. If they get a little moisture on them, they dry pretty quickly. This isn't like those cotton or woolen sleeping bags we had when I was a kid, and that was, way back in the that far back. And back then, if your sleeping bag got wet, it would stay soggy. And back then, the tents weren't synthetic either, and they did not do a good job of repelling water. The first tent I ever got in was like an army tent that my father had, and the top of it, was some kind of like cotton and God only knows what composite, but That night it rained, the water dripped down through the tent right onto a heavy cotton woolen filled sleeping bag, and the whole thing was a disaster. So my experience when I was 5 years old was that camping was really horrible. Well, they solved a lot of the problems with these synthetic lightweight materials. It's a lot different, it's a lot more fun and more comfortable. So get the most sleeping bag that you can afford. Now, they do temperature grade the sleeping bag. So if you think you're gonna be in, like let's say 32 degrees to 60 degrees, the sleeping bag will have that rating. If you're going colder, down toward 20 degrees or 10 degrees, it's gonna be rated for that too. Mine is rated for around freezing, around 32 degrees. If it gets colder than that, I just throw another blanket on top of it. Now, if it gets even colder than that, I have a plastic tarp that I put down on top of the sleeping bag and the blanket, and that plasticky tarp locks in the heat. So get a tarp also. It has always worked. And sometimes I am up in the mountains camping and that temperature just dives. You want to be prepared for that. And plus, you're going to be sleeping in some clothes too. And we will talk about clothing in another episode. So far, we have a 3-season tent, a sleeping pad, and a good sleeping bag. Invaluable. And next up is pillows. You need a pillow of some sort. Now, they make these camping pillows that actually fold down quite nicely. It's almost like its own stuff sack. But I'm going to be on the road for about 2 months making this series. I brought my pillow from home. It's the one concession of comfortability to home that I wasn't willing to make. I was not leaving my pillow at home. I just sleep better with my own pillow. And I do bring this in the tent with me, and I have this as a backup in case my pillow for some reason gets wet. So you always want a backup pillow as some kind of alternative. But think about pillow, what will make you comfortable and happy when you're camping. Okay, so a few other items that you're going to want for good housekeeping when you're out camping is you want to have light sources. So I have this lantern that I can use at the campsite. This will provide light when I'm cooking, also when I'm reading, or if I need to get anything done inside the tent. The other thing is I love to have a headlamp. It just makes it much more directed light that will help me to find things that I need quickly. And also I can use my hands to get something done while this is strapped onto my head. The other thing is I have this to fight off bears. No, this is, it's an axe on one side, a hammer on the other, and I use this hammer to bang in the stakes on the tent, and maybe for some other uses. And this, if I need to, cut a root up or something that's interfering with the tent or something else I'm trying to do. This is a multi-tool that's very helpful in putting the tent together. In episode 3, I actually show you how to put the tent together. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what equipment you need to cook, how to handle water, how to handle your cooler. I'm going to talk about some safety issues. In fact, here's a bonus safety issue or tip in this episode. Oh, sorry. It is, do not ever eat food inside your tent. When you eat food inside your tent, you basically turn yourself into a bearito. A bearito. If a bear or another critter smells that, they're going to seek out whatever you're eating in your tent. Do not eat in your tent, do not drink in your tent, and do not wear like a lot of fancy sweet cologne that a bear will find irresistible. Just think it through. What will attract the critters? And be fair to them, because if they come looking for you and they do something to you, then the rangers are going to come looking for them. And we want to protect the wildlife. We want to come out here, be as one with nature, not threaten nature, and put it in danger. So I will have a lot more to say about things that you need to camp and tips on how to make it easy and enjoyable. And just to show you, because I am proud of my humble abode, what it looks like inside the tent, You can see the sleeping pad is underneath this sheet. And I bring a sheet just to protect the sleeping pad and inflate the sleeping pad to the level that you like. Experiment with it. Find what I like to call your camping sleep number. If you blow it up too firm, it might not be as comfortable as when you let a little air out of it. And there's my sleeping bag, there's my pillows, and there's a backup blankie in case it gets really cold tonight. So that's what it looks like. Tonight I'll have a light in there, and I'll have my belongings in a bag, and it'll all be with me. So that's that. I hope you like my humble abode. So again, my name is Larry Richardson. I am your step-by-step chef. This is Cooking and Camping with the Step-by-Step Chef, and I hope you will check out the entire series by visiting stepbystepchef.com. So again, in episode 3, I'm going to show you how to put a tent together. It's a lot of fun. It is, trust me. That's why we're out here. That's why we're out here at Grand Staircase Escalante, so that we can camp and have the total experience. So I'll see you in the next episode.